Hi everyone, welcome to week 8 of your technical math class. This week we're going to be covering chapter 8, but we're only going to be covering the first 3 sections. The next sections are covered in next week. So just make sure you're focusing on the first 3 sections. So those 3 sections are, we're going to be looking at the U.S. customary units of measurement. So that's probably what you're most familiar with. So things like, pints and quarts, things like that when we're talking about capacity, feet and inches when we're talking about length, those kinds of measurements. Then we're going to look at the metric system, which is section 2. So that's going to be things like meters, liters, that kind of stuff. And then the third section we're going to look at is converting between those two systems. So again, we're just going to cover the first 3 sections this week, and then we're going to move into the other part next week. So first is the customary units of measurement. So what we're talking about here are the things that we use in the United States to measure length, weight, and capacity, and also time. So you're probably very familiar with this system. This is something that we all use on a daily basis for the most part. So pay some special attention to the conversion units in the tables in this chapter. 1 foot is 12 inches, 1 yard is 3 feet, 1 mile is 5,280 feet, 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So these tables are what we're going to be using when we get into section 3, where we're doing conversions between systems. Of course, we have our time, which is 365 days in a year, 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute. Then we get into capacity. So when we talk about capacity, what we're talking about here is volume. So how much liquid or how much stuff will fit into something. So these are the different conversions for capacity that we use. This is what we typically use when we're cooking. Then we've got weight. So when we talk about weight, we're talking about, how much something actually weighs. Then we're going to be looking at the conversion factors to actually be able to go back and forth between. So that's where you're going to want to be able to go back and refer to that chart. So in a conversion factor, they're telling you how to easily set that up so that you can use it when we move on to section 3. So the unit of measure in the numerator is supposed to be the one you're trying to convert to. The one in the denominator is the one you want to convert from. Now, if you get that backwards, it'll be okay, as long as you make sure that when you're using it in a proportion, you match the units up on the top and the bottom on both sides. So they're going to show you how to use that conversion factor in just an actual equation. So this is not using a proportion. This is just using an equation. So we're going to take what we're converting, and then we're going to use the conversion factor on the to multiply by. So that's why you want to make sure the unit you're converting from is on the bottom. That's why it's so key for this particular type of problem. So we got some examples throughout here. Now I want to just pop through here real quick, and we're going to go straight on in to looking at some of that metric system before I leave you to do your own work. So when we talk about metric units of measurement, this is where we're talking about the system that's typically used everywhere else in the world but the United States. So when we talk about length, we're going to use a meter. A meter is a little bit more than a yard. And everything is based on the units of 10 when we're talking about the metric system. So this just shows you some comparisons within that unit. And this is another example of just a visual comparison. This will show you what a penny looks like compared to what it would look like in the United States system. Then as we move on, you're going to look at the prefixes about units. And again, the good thing about the metric system is that it's all based on the system of tens. So if we move to the right, we're getting smaller. If we move to the left, we're getting larger. So very important concept. Now, when we talk about the length of, or the unit of mass, again, weight, that's what we're talking about here. it's going to be the gram. And again, they're going to give you some comparisons so that you can think about it comparatively to something you know. So a penny is about 2.5 grams. We typically think of a paper clip as being 1 gram. So that is our unit of mass. Then we're going to have our unit of capacity or volume. So that is the liter. So a liter is a little more than a quart. A 2-liter bottle of soda is something you're probably familiar with. And then from this point, we're going to start looking at, converting between those units. So between the metric system and the U.S. customary system. If at any time you have a question this week, please make sure that you reach out to me right away. Again, you can call, email, or text. My number is 618-792-2293. Have a great week.